No matter what I tell you now, you think, or anybody who's watching this will think that I'm exaggerating, but it was inhumane.
Hamoudi is a prolific celebrity journalist from the Gaza Strip who's released more than 1,000 television reports. In 2009, his Canadian wife became sick.
There was a big love story between me and a Canadian woman who was a pro-Palestinian activist. But then after the war happened, she got really, really sick. She got a viral infection, and nobody there, because we have poor medical health in Gaza. It's a third world country. So to cut a long story short, she was in a coma and she was about to lose her life. And I fought for her, and I thought, me and my family, she cannot die in Gaza because of me. She has to come back to Canada, at least get a chance to health, to medical care. 6 months later, my visa was done. And the relationship, she was recovering. I was a little bit depressed of losing work and losing my career. I was on top of my career in Gaza. My peers, people my age, used to think that I was a bit luckier than anybody else. I had a good job. I was like a quasi-celebrity. I was on the news all the time. And I left all of that when she got sick, man, and I came here. So my depression, through that, I had to deal with it. She had to deal with recovering, so the relationship faded. And we ended up breaking up. At that point, I started looking over my shoulder, trying to figure out how I'm gonna make my situation legal in Canada. And I tried and tried and tried. I knocked on every door, but little did I know, you gotta do it yourself. Nobody's gonna help you when you come here. Next thing you know, I was detained and I was taken to West Georgia to CBSA, because they figured out I had no legal status in Canada. And then I was asked to come and report every 2 weeks. And very few weeks afterwards, I went to report one day, it was a Friday, and they're like, we're sorry to inform you, you have been judged by a court of law, you have an exclusion order by a judge to leave Canada for at least a year, but you have to be removed from Canada. I tried to explain that I come from the Gaza Strip, I can't go back, I have issues there, I fear for my life. And none of that made any sense to them, so I found myself handcuffed and thrown in a detention center in Vancouver Airport. I got put on a plane, handcuffed, my legs are cuffed with this big thing, and we fly to Toronto. And then in Toronto, there's a transit. We take another plane. After 3 hours of landing there, we get another plane to fly to Turkey. And then we land in Turkey, same situation, I'm still cuffed and everything. And we stay in Turkey for a couple of hours, and then another plane will take us to Amman, Jordan, in which I stayed in the airport for 6 days. But wherever you're going, they fly with you, and they deliver you to the airport. And once the authorities know about you being there, and once you enter said country, whatever country it is, they fly back. They love their jobs. It's not like they hate it, they love it. They went through 4 countries paid for. They tried food. They were staying in really high-end hotels. They do it for, that's what they do it for. We sat at a checkpoint on the borders waiting for the Canadian consul to go and get the approval for me to be delivered to Palestine. So they couldn't leave me at all that time, because they can't do a job halfway. They have to finish it. So we stayed at the border for 8 hours. And then the Canadian consul comes back. He's really furious. And apparently the Israelis did not approve me going back to Palestine. It was a quote from a CBSA officer that said, "This is the longest deportation trip in CBSA history."
Hamoudi was returned to Canada, where he was detained again. Since his release, he continues to live in limbo, without full immigration status and the possibility of deportation again looming. Canada deported 117,531 people between 2006 and 2014. Including to countries with official moratoriums on deportation.
They were calling me the subject at all times, man, and that really hurt. I have a name. I'm not just a number. I have a name, and I had a career before coming to Canada.